June 30th, 1944, 15,000 feet over the Pacific. Two new Pratt Whitney engines roared in the darkness. This 4,000 horsepower marvel of American engineering climbed into the night sky. The crew received instructions from ground control. Unidentified target at 12 o'clock, distance 8 miles. They turned onto an intercept course. The target was a Japanese Betty bomber on a midnight bombing mission. The bomber was completely unaware of the hunter behind it. This was the Northrop P-61 Black Widow fighter, twin-engine design, 66-foot wingspan, 3-man crew. It also carried core equipment no other fighter possessed at the time. Radar eyes that could pierce total darkness. Senior U.S. Army Air Forces leadership had called it superfluous and useless. Poor performance, insufficient speed, too cumbersome, a pure waste of resources. But the enemy could neither see nor hear its approach. No engine roar, no searchlight beams, no warning whatsoever. Only 4 20mm cannons and 4 50 caliber machine guns appearing suddenly from the shadows, delivering a lethal strike at close range. By the war's end, these superfluous aircraft had shot down 127 enemy planes. Their targets died without knowing when death arrived. The question was not, why build such a heavy night fighter, but why this disparaged aircraft ultimately became the ghost that ruled the night. The night of June 30th, 1944, was not just another combat mission over the Pacific. It marked the climax of nearly 3 years of intense debate within the senior ranks of the U.S. Army Air Forces. When Lieutenant Herman Ernst climbed into the cockpit of his P-61, call sign Moonlight Happy, the weight of institutional skepticism and the tropical humidity of Guadalcanal pressed down heavily on his shoulders. Radar operator Lieutenant Edward Copsell leaned over the green glow of the SCR 720 radar screen. The dancing electronic signals on the cathode ray tube represented a real aircraft flying miles away in the darkness. Behind him, Staff Sergeant Raymond Mooney manned the upper turret. 4 50 caliber Browning machine guns, ready to join the 4 20mm Hispano cannons in the belly to unleash an attack. This 3-man crew embodied all the flaws critics attributed to the American night fighter doctrine. Too bulky. Weeks earlier, General Hoyt Vandenberg, during a heated Pentagon briefing, stated bluntly, "Not fast enough. We should have equipped the crews with mosquitoes. Instead, we're sending them up in flying coffins." The British de Havilland Mosquito, made of wood, was fast and had proven its worth in European night combat, standing in stark contrast to the P-61. The Mosquito's empty weight was just 11,000 pounds, while the Black Widow's fully loaded weight reached 23,000 pounds. The Mosquito could achieve 400 miles per hour in level flight. The P-61, even at its optimal altitude, struggled to maintain 365 miles per hour. But Jack Northrop's design philosophy was fundamentally different. The twin-boom layout was not an aesthetic choice, but a functional necessity. The central nacelle housed the crew and weapon systems. The 2 Pratt Whitney R-2800 engines were spaced widely enough to minimize asymmetric thrust issues if one failed. The radar antenna occupied the entire nose, unobstructed by propellers. Most critically, its airframe size provided a fuel capacity the Mosquito couldn't match. 646 gallons versus 460. Ground control. Intercept instructions crackled through Ernst's headset. Moonlight Happy, heading 090, climbed to 20,000 feet. Unidentified target approaching from Rabaul, estimated as a Betty-class bomber, possibly carrying torpedoes, targeting Henderson Field. The Japanese had conducted these nightly nuisance raids for months, single aircraft attacking U.S. facilities under cover of darkness. Previous attempt at interception using radar-equipped P-38s and F-6F Hellcats had repeatedly failed. Enemy pilots excelled at using terrain masking and rapid altitude changes to break radar locks. Copsell's voice came over the intercom. Contact, bearing 085, distance 12 miles, altitude 18,000 feet, course south-southeast, passing between 2 storm cells. The radar operator's fingers moved quickly over the control panel, adjusting gain and scan patterns to maintain the lock. This was the difference between an excellent night crew and an average one. interpreting electronic signals in total darkness, while simultaneously constructing a three-dimensional intercept geometry in their minds. Ernst pushed the throttles forward. The two new engines surged with power. Superchargers force compressed air into the cylinders, each producing over 2,000 horsepower. The aircraft climbed steadily in the thin tropical air. The fuel gauge ascended at a steady rate. In Pacific night operations, endurance and range were key, not the eye-catching instantaneous speed of air shows. Target maintaining course and speed, cops reported, seems fixated on his bombing run. We can intercept before he reaches the target area. The Japanese pilot relied on dead reckoning and celestial navigation, completely unaware that American radar had been tracking him since he entered the 100-mile range. The Hunter held a complete strategic advantage. At 18,000 feet, Ernst began adjusting for the intercept, reducing throttle to avoid overshooting the target. The P-61's radar cross-section was minuscule for its size. This Northrop design choice proved highly effective in combat. The twin-boom layout dispersed radar waves, causing enemy detection equipment to mistake it for a smaller target. And this Japanese Betty bomber had no intercept radar of its own. Its night navigation depended on visual references and radio beacons, which American intelligence had long since compromised. Range closing to 8 miles, Copsel announced. Target bearing steady, no deviation. He doesn't know we're here. This was the critical phase of the night intercept. The final approach would determine success or failure. Ernst had studied tactical reports from European night fighter squadrons. He knew well how German crews used darkness and surprise to devastate RAF bomber streams. These principles were universal. Approach from below or behind. Maintain radar contact. Hold fire until visual identification at close range. At 600 yards, the Japanese Betty appeared in Ernst's gun sight. Its two engines formed a clear silhouette against the starry night sky. The pilot maintained level flight, completely unaware of the threat at his 7 o'clock. Ernst's finger moved toward the trigger. The 4 cannons and 4 machine guns were ready to unleash fire at a combined rate of over 3,000 rounds per minute. In this moment, Northrop's design philosophy and Ernst's crew training were vindicated. The P-61 was not built for daytime dogfights or high-altitude interceptions of enemy fighters. It existed for this exact scenario, finding an invisible enemy in endless darkness, destroying him before he could complete his mission. The institutional critics who questioned its necessity had never flown a mission like this. Success meant protecting thousands of sleeping Marines from bombs they would never see coming. Ernst's fire hit the Betty's fuel tanks and engine components. The enemy aircraft instantly burst into flames. The Japanese plane rolled inverted and dove toward the Pacific. Its crew and ordnance would never reach Henderson Field. For Lieutenant Ernst, this victory was more than just another kill marking on the fuselage. It proved that this superfluous Black Widow could deliver on its promise when it mattered. By early July 1944, the first operational P-61 squadrons were deployed at both ends of the globe. In the Pacific Theater, the 6th Night Fighter Squadron was based at Henderson Field on Guadalcanal, its black-painted aircraft hidden under camouflage nets by day. Across the Atlantic, the 422nd Night Fighter Squadron became operational at RAF Squadron in Yorkshire, preparing for the night air war over occupied Europe. The differences between the two theaters became apparent immediately upon deployment. Pacific missions involved long-range patrols over vast ocean areas, searching for single Japanese bombers approaching U.S. facilities under cover of night. European operations required entirely different tactics, intercepting German transport aircraft evacuating personnel from areas of Allied advance, or chasing the V-1 flying bombs that harassed London throughout the summer. Lieutenant Ernst's success on Guadalcanal drew wide attention within night fighter circles, but it also highlighted the fundamental mal-done between the aircraft performance and institutional expectations. The P-61's 400-mile combat radius gave Pacific crews the endurance needed for long patrols, but its maximum speed of 365 miles per hour at 20,000 feet was consistently criticized by Air Force leadership. This speed limitation proved particularly revealing on the night of July 15th. Lieutenant Robert Anderson of the 482nd Night Fighter Squadron attempted to intercept AV-1 over the English Channel. His radar operator, Tech Sergeant William Hayes, achieved a perfect intercept position, placing the Black Widow directly behind the German missile flying toward London at 350 miles per hour, while the P-61 could barely match the speed. It came at the cost of structural integrity. As Anderson pushed the aircraft to its maximum speed in a dive, the nose began to form under aerodynamic pressure. The plexiglass radome, designed for conventional combat speeds, bent and cracked under unexpected pressure differentials created by the airflow. Within seconds, the entire nose section collapsed inward, destroying the SCR-720 radar system. A large hole opened in the forward fuselage. Hayes struggled to maintain intercept data, allowing Anderson to fire the belly cannons. But the V-1 continued on its predetermined course toward London. The damaged Black Widow limped back to base, its radar completely inoperative. The crew now acutely aware of the aircraft's fundamental limitations in high-speed intercept scenarios. This incident gave critics ammunition, who claimed the P-61 suffered from flawed design priorities. But in typical night combat missions, these limitations were irrelevant. Success depended more on persistence and precision than pure speed. From August to September 1944, the deployed Black Widows in the Pacific continued to shoot down Japanese night raiders. The 6th NFS's combat log recorded 17 confirmed kills. The crews repeatedly demonstrated the aircraft's ability to locate, track, and destroy bombers even under optimal enemy evasion conditions. The tactics doctrine formed from early victories emphasized leveraging the P-61's unique strengths rather than compensating for its perceived weaknesses. Crews learned to use the radar to approach targets from below and behind, maintaining contact while avoiding the enemy's visual range. When observed head-on, the twin-boom layout's minimal radar cross-section allowed the Black Widow to close the firing range before the enemy pilot was aware. European operations developed different tactics. The 422nd NFS crews adapted their techniques to counter German transports and reconnaissance aircraft. The crowded airspace over Western Europe required more complex coordination with ground control intercept (GCI) stations. Multiple friendly and enemy aircraft operated simultaneously in a relatively confined area. Black Widow crews were often vectored into intercept scenarios requiring precise navigation and split-second decisions. Captain Lee Kendall, newly transferred to the Pacific Theater with the 548th Night Fighter Squadron, applied his European combat experience to Japanese tactics. His aircraft, nicknamed Dark Lady by the ground crew, incorporated lessons from months of night operations over France and Belgium. Kendall found that successful interception primarily required patience, waiting for the optimal approach angle rather than rushing into an unfavorable firing position. This philosophy proved crucial during operations around Peleliu in late September. Japanese night bombers began employing sophisticated evasion techniques learned from intelligence reports on the European theater, using rapid altitude changes and lateral reversals to break radar locks, forcing American interceptors to reacquire the target multiple times per mission. The P-61's 16-mile radar detection range provided sufficient margin for reacquisition, but only if the crew maintained tactical discipline. In these complex intercept scenarios, the P-61's heavy armament became a decisive advantage. Unlike single-engine fighters modified for night fighting, the Black Widow carried enough firepower to destroy a target in a short burst. The four 20mm Hispano cannons could penetrate bomber armor even at 1,000 yards. The four 50 caliber Brown and machine guns provided ample volume of fire, ensuring target destruction even with lower hit probability. Operational statistics from October 1944 validated Northrop's original design concept. The Black Widow crew's kill-to-loss ratio was significantly higher than that of modified day fighters performing night interception duties. This was primarily because the P-61's integrated radar and weapon systems supported precision strikes rather than blind spraying. The airframe size and complexity once seen as liabilities proved crucial to mission success in the operational environment, but tactical victories could not alter strategic reality. By November 1944, German air activity over Western Europe had drastically diminished due to fuel shortages and pilot losses. Luftwaffe night operations dropped to minimal levels, as American air superiority eliminated most enemy bomber bases. Japanese night bombing raids correspondingly decreased. The P-61 was gradually losing suitable targets. Questions about production priority resurfaced. For the crews who had proven the aircraft's effectiveness in combat, this contradiction was perplexing. They flew the world's most advanced night fighter. Equipped with radar and firepower the enemy could neither detect nor defend against. Yet the strategic situation was rendering the aircraft's design purpose obsolete. Victory in the night war ultimately meant night fighters would become superfluous. In the spring of 1945, the night fighter war entered an unexpected twilight. Stationed on Iwo Jima, Lee Kendall noted his patrols were becoming increasingly routine. Skies, once thick with enemy aircraft, were now empty. Japanese night bombing had dwindled to sporadic harassment. Flown by pilots with minimal fuel reserves and obsolete equipment, the P-61's development rationale was rapidly unraveling, but institutional inertia kept the Black Widow operations going. Northrop's production line completed 706 aircraft in total, each costing hundreds of thousands of dollars and thousands of skilled man-hours to build. Despite enemy air activity no longer warranting such investment, squadron commanders still received orders to maintain combat readiness. This contradiction became more apparent in April's operations. Entire night fighter squadrons flew dozens of hours without encountering any enemy targets. Crews patrolled empty skies, their advanced radar detecting only weather fronts and occasional friendly aircraft off coordination procedures. This had a significant psychological impact on the crews. Pilots and radar operators who had spent months training and perfecting interception techniques now faced the prospect that their skills might never be tested in combat again. As the war approached its inevitable conclusion, General Vandenberg's early criticisms seemed prophetic. The massive investment in night fighters appeared increasingly wasteful relative to the diminishing enemy activity. But these critics overlooked the P-61's strategic impact during its operational peak. The Japanese abandoned systematic night bombing precisely because American radar-equipped interceptors made such missions prohibitively costly. In the early hours of August 14, 1945, the Black Widow's effectiveness received its final, ironic confirmation. Kendall and his Dark Lady crew received a GCI vector to intercept a single aircraft approaching Okinawa from the northwest. Intelligence suggested this plane might carry Japanese officials attempting to reach Allied headquarters for surrender negotiations. But until positive identification was made, standard intercept procedures had to be followed. The radar operator acquired the target at 14 miles, tracking it as it descended toward Okinawa's airfields through broken clouds. The target's flight profile indicated a twin-engine transport, possibly a Mitsubishi Ki 46 Dyna, reconnaissance aircraft modified for long-range courier duties. Standard doctrine required visual identification before engagement, but darkness and weather conditions made identification extremely difficult. As the Dark Lady closed within intercept range, Kendall observed the target had turned on its navigation lights and was maintaining a steady course toward the American-controlled airfield. These signs suggested non-hostile intent, but intelligence warnings about Japanese deception tactics remained in effect. The decision to engage or identify rested entirely with the intercept crew, who held full tactical autonomy in night operations. At 800 yards, Kendall visually confirmed the target as a Japanese naval reconnaissance aircraft, unescorted and performing no defensive maneuvers. The target pilot seemed unaware of the P-61's presence, maintaining level flight, likely navigating by radio beacon. Kendall maneuvered his aircraft into the optimal firing angle and moved his finger toward the firing control. In less than 3 seconds of firing, the 4 cannons and 4 machine guns concentrated on the enemy's fuselage center and wing roots. The target disintegrated instantly, its fuel tanks igniting in a brilliant fireball that illuminated the surrounding clouds. Debris scattered over square miles of ocean. There was no possibility of survivors, rescue, or aircraft wreckage recovery. Post-action intelligence analysis confirmed that Kendall's target, indeed, carried Japanese naval personnel attempting to establish contact with the Allies to discuss surrender procedures. The irony was bitter. The war's final air-to-air victory had eliminated potential participants in peace negotiations. But Kendall and his crew had followed established procedures perfectly, demonstrating the lethal effectiveness the Black Widow had maintained throughout its combat career. Hours later, Emperor Hirohito's radio broadcast announced Japan's surrender. American intelligence stations across the Pacific monitored the message. Upon its conclusion, all combat operations, including night fighter missions, ceased. 706 aircraft, thousands of trained personnel, and millions in development costs became instantly obsolete with a single radio broadcast. The statistical summary presented a complex picture of operational success versus strategic necessity. USP 61 night fighter squadrons shot down approximately 127 enemy aircraft, 18 B, 1 flying bombs, and 1 autonomously flying civilian B. 29 over Iwo Jima during about 10 months of combat. Many more victories went unconfirmed as they occurred over water, where wreckage couldn't be recovered. Behind these numbers lay the successful implementation of a revolutionary tactical doctrine. The P-61 proved that dedicated night fighters, through superior technology and crew training, could master the darkness. Enemy pilots who once operated with impunity at night now faced a stealthy hunter equipped with radar and devastating firepower. The aircraft legacy extended beyond direct combat achievements to broader strategic significance. Japan's abandonment of systematic night bombing freed thousands of American personnel from air defense duties, allowing their redeployment to offensive operations. British adoption of American night fighter doctrine influenced crucial interceptor development projects during the Cold War. Most importantly, the P-61 demonstrated that a specialized aircraft designed for a specific mission could achieve tactical success even with apparent disadvantages in traditional performance metrics. When attacking unsuspecting targets in total darkness, radar performance and firepower mattered more than speed and maneuverability. The Black Widow's combat experience influenced jet interceptor design for decades. When Kendall landed the Dark Lady after its final combat mission, he knew the superfluous aircraft had fully achieved its design purpose. The critics had misunderstood the nature of nighttime warfare. Victory belonged to those who could see without being seen, who could strike without warning. Sometimes in night operations, what seems superfluous is exactly what you need most. The Armistice abruptly ended combat operations, but didn't immediately resolve the complex questions about the P-61's ultimate value to American air power doctrine. In September 1945, Lieutenant Herman Ernst defended his aircraft before a War Department Evaluation Board assessing wartime procurement decisions. This board, composed primarily of senior officers who had never flown night combat missions, viewed the Black Widow project skeptically, focusing on cost effectiveness and strategic necessity. Ernst's testimony emphasized operational realities not captured in the statistical summary. The 127 confirmed kills included only cases of recovered wreckage or witness corroboration. Dozens of additional intercepts occurred over water, where enemy aircraft disappeared from radar screens after engaging with P-61s, leaving no trace. The true kill ratio remained unknown, but combat veterans understood many successful intercepts left no recoverable evidence. More importantly, its psychological impact on enemy operations couldn't be quantified through traditional metrics. Japanese night bombing ceased substantively, not just due to fuel shortages or pilot losses, but because American radar-equipped interceptors made such missions unacceptably risky. Enemy commanders who once regularly dispatched aircraft to harass Allied facilities could no longer guarantee their plane's survival beyond the first interception zone. The evaluation board's questions revealed a fundamental misunderstanding of night fighter doctrine and operational requirements. Board members repeatedly focused on the P-61's speed disadvantage compared to day fighters, ignoring the relevance of maximum speed in night interception scenarios. They criticized the aircraft's complexity and maintenance demands without acknowledging that successful night operations required sophisticated radar systems and specialized crew training, requirements simple fighters couldn't meet. Jack Northrop appeared personally to defend his design philosophy and technical decisions. The aircraft manufacturer faced potential congressional investigation regarding development costs and production schedules. His testimony was crucial for corporate reputation and future military contracts. Northrop emphasized that the P-61 fully met all specifications set by the Army Air Forces during initial procurement negotiations. The twin-boom layout provided optimal space for radar installation, unobstructed by propellers, offering detection range single-engine fighters could never achieve. The heavy armament configuration could destroy targets with minimal exposure time, reducing vulnerability during attack. Most critically, the airframe's fuel capacity and structural strength supported long-range patrol missions over the vast Pacific, something light interceptors couldn't accomplish. In his technical statement, Northrop provided detailed analysis of alternative concepts the Army Air Forces had considered early in development. The British Mosquito night fighter, while faster with an excellent European combat record, lacked the range required for Pacific missions. Modified P-38 Lightnings with radar pods suffer from asymmetric load issues, creating dangerous handling characteristics. Single-engine fighters carrying external radar saw significantly degraded performance, completely losing their speed advantage. The manufacturer's data proved no existing type could perform the night fighter mission as effectively as the purpose-designed P-61. Critics who advocated for alternative solutions simply didn't understand the unique demands of night interception combat, where success depended on sensing capability and firepower, not traditional performance metrics. Now promoted to captain, Edward Copsall provided a detailed statement on the training content and tactical procedures for radar operators, validated in combat. The SCR-720 radar system was revolutionary technology, requiring months of specialized training for operators to achieve proficiency. The complexity critics viewed as excessive actually represented a critical advantage, enabling precise interception under conditions where visual identification was impossible. Copsall's combat analysis showed that successful missions require meticulous coordination between pilot, radar operator, and ground control intercept station. The P-61's three-man crew configuration provided redundancy and specialization unmatched by single-engine fighters. Night operations required simultaneously managing radar tracking, navigation, communications, and weapon systems, tasks beyond the capacity of any single pilot, regardless of skill. Copsall's testimony included multiple specific cases where crew coordination proved decisive. Many intercept missions required rapid decisions based on radar interpretation in total darkness, while maintaining precise aircraft control. The P-61's stable flight characteristics and comprehensive instrumentation allowed crews to perform complex maneuvers impossible in simpler aircraft. Most convincingly, Copsall analyzed enemy countermeasures and their ineffectiveness against proper P-61 tactics. Japanese pilots tried various evasion techniques, rapid altitude changes, lateral reversals, electronic countermeasures, but these methods failed consistently against P-61 crews familiar with their equipment's capabilities and limitations. The evaluation board's final report acknowledged the P-61's technical sophistication and combat effectiveness, but questioned whether the specialized capability justified its development cost. The board concluded that rapidly changing strategic circumstances had limited the aircraft's operational utility, directly criticizing procurement decisions made under different wartime conditions. This bureaucratic assessment overlooked the Black Widow's broader significance for future air defense planning. The operational precedents and tactical procedures established by the P-61 influenced jet interceptor development during the Cold War. The integration of airborne radar with ground control intercept systems, crew specialization requirements, and all-weather interception capability became standard features in post-war fighter design. More directly, the aircraft demonstrated American industrial capacity could produce sophisticated weapon systems matching or surpassing the enemy's best equipment. The technological advantage represented by the SCR-720 radar gave the Allies a decisive edge in a specialized mission area, and this demonstration of advanced electronics integration proved crucial for maintaining air superiority in future conflicts. The evaluation board focused on statistical analysis and procurement efficiency, overlooking the human cost of night fighter operations. Crews flying hundreds of hours in darkness, searching for invisible enemies over hostile territory, endured psychological burdens never mentioned in official reports. The constant pressure of radar interception, the difficulty of weapons employment decisions, and the challenge of navigation with zero visibility left veterans with effects lasting decades. Lieutenant Ernst's post-war correspondence with other Black Widow veterans revealed this shared experience left a deep mark. Those who entrusted their lives to radar screens and instrument panels developed a different understanding of technology and human capability than traditional fighter pilots. They understood that victory in modern warfare increasingly depended on superior sensing and information processing, not traditional flying skills. This superfluous aircraft had changed the nature of air combat, setting the template for electronic warfare and precision interception that defined military aviation throughout the jet age. The critics were correct in their assessment of its speed limitations and complexity disadvantages, but they were wrong in their denial of its strategic value and operational necessity. Sometimes the most important victories occur in darkness, achievable only with specialized tools. The post-war decades validated the P-61's design philosophy in ways its critics never anticipated. By 1950, the Soviet Union's deployment of long-range bombers capable of delivering nuclear weapons overnight transformed American air defense needs. The Continental Air Defense Command urgently required an interception capability operable in all weather, day and night, against targets potentially approaching from any altitude and speed. The Black Widow's combat experience became the foundational doctrine for the new generation of jet interceptors entering service in the 1950s. Cold War night fighters like the Northrop F-89 Scorpion and Lockheed F-94 Starfire incorporated design principles pioneered by the P-61 program. The twin-engine layout provided safety redundancy for long over-water patrols. Sophisticated radar systems enabled all-weather interception capability unattainable by single-engine day fighters. Now a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force Reserve, Herman Ernst participated in the development testing of these new interceptors, applying his combat experience to tactical doctrine and crew training requirements. His insights proved invaluable during the transition from propeller-driven to jet night fighters, particularly regarding the integration of ground control intercept systems with airborne radar equipment. Ernst's analysis emphasized that technological advancement alone couldn't guarantee operational success. The P-61's effectiveness depended as much on crew training and tactical discipline as on advanced equipment. Pilots and radar operators require hundreds of hours of flight training to master night interception procedures, an investment that couldn't be reduced by simplifying aircraft systems or automating equipment. The colonel's advice influenced Air Defense Command training programs in the 1950s, establishing dedicated night fighter crew schools and standardizing the interception procedures developed through combat experience in World War II. These doctrinal foundations proved crucial when Soviet bomber formations tested American air defense responses during the peak Cold War years. Now a technical consultant for Westinghouse radar manufacturers, Edward Kopsel applied his combat experience to developing improved interception systems for the next fighter generation. Compared to post-war developments, the SCR-720 radar carried by the P-61 was primitive technology, but the tactical procedures Kopsel refined remain essentially unchanged. Kopsel's work emphasized the critical importance of human-machine interface design in complex weapon systems. In high-pressure combat scenarios, the most sophisticated radar equipment was useless if the operator couldn't interpret the information quickly and accurately. His experience with P-61 crew coordination influenced the development of two-seat fighter design, which became the standard configuration for interceptors throughout the jet age. In his technical presentations to military audiences, the former radar operator consistently emphasized the psychological factors determining night interception success. Crews operating in complete dependence on electronic sensors and instrument displays face unique stresses requiring specialized training and equipment designed to manage. These insights proved invaluable as air defense planners confronted the challenges of meeting interception demands in the nuclear age. Jack Northrop's aircraft company leveraged the Black Widow's development experience to compete for major Cold War defense contracts, including flying wing bombers and advanced interceptor designs. The engineering expertise accumulated during P-61 development provided advantages in radar integration, electronic systems packaging, and crew compartment design that competitors couldn't match. Northrop's post-war success with the F-89 Scorpion night fighter demonstrated the enduring relevance of the design principles established by the Black Widow project. The twin-boom layout, heavy armament configuration, and sophisticated radar system once criticized as superfluous became standard for American interceptors in the 1950s and 1960s. The manufacturer's corporate archives preserve detailed P-61 project technical documentation, including test data, combat reports, and crew feedback, providing invaluable reference for subsequent aircraft development. This institutional knowledge enabled Northrop to avoid repeating design errors while incorporating lessons from operational experience. The pilot who scored the war's final air-to-air victory, Lee Kendall, returned to civil aviation but maintained close contact with air defense development projects. His experience flying long-range patrols over the Pacific influenced the requirements formulation for the next generation of interceptors designed to protect North American airspace from Soviet bomber penetration. Kendall's operational insights emphasized the enduring importance of aircraft endurance and crew comfort for successful air defense missions. The P-61's fuel capacity and spacious crew accommodation enabled patrols lasting 6 hours or more, a capability proving essential for maintaining effective interception coverage over vast geographical areas. The former captain's technical consultancy work included evaluating proposed interceptor designs for their suitability to air defense missions. His combat experience provided perspectives pure engineering analysis couldn't achieve, especially regarding the practical limits of crew performance during prolonged operations under stress. By 1960, strategic analysts began recognizing the P-61's historical significance beyond its timely wartime contribution. The aircraft established a design precedent for specialized weapon systems, engineered to meet specific tactical needs rather than attempting to optimize traditional performance parameters. This design philosophy would be repeatedly validated throughout the Cold War as it confronted evolving threats.